how are you doing? Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I have another story time tonight. I was going to deal with the day I found out. They call that D-Day in all the vlogs and blogosphere. Um, well, in past videos, I kind of said that I found out 4/24, 2014. I found out, and I kind of gave bits and pieces of it throughout the stories, but I found out because one day Hubs left his cell phone sitting on in the dining room table, and I went downstairs and I saw the cell phone sitting there, and so the Holy Ghost gave me the combination to the code on his phone. So I punched the code in, I went through his text messages, and I found the key telltale text message. I went ballistic, naturally, I said some less than desired words. He was taking a shower, bust in, and I used some expletives, and I closed the door, and I went to the room, and I tried to lock myself in my bedroom and take snapshots and send the snapshots to me and my best friend so that we could have them on file, that this is what I found. I remember when I let him into the room, I was like, now you barricaded in and you can't get out, and you're going to tell me what has been happening. And he was just kind of like, no, we had a conversation, and what happened was she was just excited about the conversation. No, you're gonna stop lying to me. So I called our overseer, our pastors, and believe they had a conversation as well. And later on that day, the pastor called my husband back, and he was like, he kind of prophesied to him and said, look, I know you are on the other line with her now. Tell her you're getting off the phone and we're going to talk. And so from there, the pastor then began to converse with him and ask him specific questions about the relationship and the nature of the relationship. And finally, it's out. And the pastor called me on my cell phone and delivered to me the information. But in the meanwhile, because I wanted to believe that this wasn't really happening in my current life or in my then current life, I remember sitting down on my bed and I cried. And I was like, what if I was wrong? And I accused this girl of, being a harlot, for lack of a better terms. What, that's going to look very bad. And I'm going to tear my church up because of my accusations. Oh my God, this is going to be awful. This is so bad. Like, how could I think so lowly of a person, of another woman? Because I truly believe in the sanctity of the sisterhood of just being a woman. Like, you don't do to women what you don't want done to you. I'm a big proponent of that. But I guess she wasn't, because it wound up being true. I remember she was telling everybody that they were soulmates, and she apologized to the people on our ministry team. And, one of the people challenged her and was like, why would you do this? This was a home you teared up. This ain't just a ministry. This was a home. And she's like, well, God, what he says to me, he's dealing with my heart. He knows my heart. He knows his heart. And goodbye. We're not talking about this anymore. But you can't just, and I'm just going off the record, you can't do something and not give an account for it. When you do something and you're firm that this is what you're doing, give an account. Don't just apologize. Give an account. That's whatever it is. Marriage, children, having children, raising children, in ministry, give an account. And so there was a lack of account given. I remember when he came back home, I was sitting on the couch crying. Everything just felt so still that day. And terrible, still and terrible. And he kind of began to explain it, and I was just looking like, why would you talking real cavalier right up in here? He's like, well, yeah, it happened, yada, yada, yada. I can't remember exactly what he said past that because I was just distraught. I remember our parents were distraught. Like, affairs don't just hurt the person you're married to. It hurts everyone that's around you. It hurts your children. It hurts your family members. It hurts your friends. If you're in a church home, it hurts your church home. Whatever your religious affiliation, it hurts people around that are affiliated with you, that have walked with you. They want to see the best for you. So everyone around you gets hurt. And so I remember one of our ministry team came to the house, and I told him what happened, and he just kind of sat there and kind of closed his eyes, and he was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm gonna be okay. I just want to make sure that you okay, because you're the son of my ministry. Are you all right?" And he was like, "I will be okay. I'm really concerned about you right now. Like, you know me. I'm a strong woman, and I am built tough. So no matter how this goes, I'll be okay. I want to make sure that you're okay." And he was like, "Well, what did God say, Pastor C?" And I told him, I said, "Well, God told me a long time ago, before this day, because we were building up to this day, that don't divorce, don't separate, don't stop the ministry, He'll restore." So I'm going to stand on that. But either way, if he falls out of the will of God, I'll be all right. And we had another meeting because we were pastors, so our pastor had to come down and bring our elders, and everything had to get exposed. And I was sitting there kind of humiliated, but more or less just inside of myself hoping that God would apprehend my husband's heart. Like, do you see yourself? Do you see this? Do you see the ramifications of your actions? Do you see this? Everyone is hurt. Your mother is humiliated. My mother is humiliated. Our parents are humiliated. They're hurt. Everyone's hurt. Can you see this? And I just remember the pride on his heart. He couldn't see it. He could only see what he wanted to see, how he wanted to deal. And the first thing I began to pray about, honestly, was the pride. I was like, "God, bring him low. You said pride comes before a fall. Bring him low. Bring him to his knees. Make him feel this. Make him feel the ramifications of everyone's pain. Bring him low." And it wound up happening in some months, and it took some time. Like a lot of people, when you're going through like infidelity, you want everything to happen right away because everything is so painful and everything hurts so bad, and every day is filled with anxiety. But allow God the space to bring your spouse to themselves. We're taught scripturally that godly sorrow works repentance. Well, we know in order when pride is in action and adultery is in action, a person is gonna feel, high, high on themselves, high on whatever they're going through in their life. They're not gonna consider, feeling anyone else's pain or feeling the nature of their actions or the ramifications of their actions. So pray the godly sorrow works repentance. So I prayed that, and I began to see a turnaround probably in a matter of 6-8 months. It took a while, during that time, I had did my dirt. I'm not going to pretend, for a second that I was perfect, because we have story times, previous ones where I almost went to prison because, I wilded out. But in the midst of wilding out, I will say that God was faithful. God is faithful, and we still hear me. He is in the interim message at the top of the page of my page, Jamel and Carrie, Jamel being my husband that I'm still married to. But I just wanted everyone to know, the story time behind how everything came out. They call it D-Day, so I guess I will entitle this D-Day. D-Day was painful. D-Day had repercussions that lasted for a long time. So I just want to say this before I jump off of here. When your mind starts to entertain the thought of an affair, or the thought of cheating on your spouse, or the thought of engaging in an extramarital relationship, whether it's emotional, physical, financial, please consider who you're going to hurt first. Consider not just your spouse, consider your kids. Consider one day they're going to hear this story. Consider one day that story might hurt their feelings. Consider the fact that they might take the side of the spouse that was hurting. Consider the fact that not only your spouse is going to get hurt, not only your children are going to get hurt, but everyone connected to you are going to get hurt, because it's like dropping a droplet of water in a pond. There's going to be a ripple effect. You're not just going to hurt your spouse. You're not just going to suffer from your personal embarrassment and shame, because anything that's hidden in the dark is going to come to the light eventually. You might as well tell the truth. You might as well be vulnerable and tell your spouse this is where it's going. And this is why. Tell them why. Tell them why. Because I promise you, it's going to come out and people will be affected. So consider who you're going to affect. Consider where you're going in your life, where you're headed, the next scenario in your life. Does this have any room for where you're going next? Who might lose respect for you because of this part of your testimony? Who's going to respect you more because of your honesty? And can you and your spouse bring yourselves back together and find your road back together if you truly love them? If you love yourself and you love your spouse, reconsider. Like, take the time to analyze yourself. If you love yourself, you're not going to put yourself in a position to possibly get diseases. And I'm going to talk about that in the next video. If you love your spouse, you're not going to consider the pain. You're not going to consider giving them pain that they're going to have to deal with for a considerable amount of time. And don't just absorb. I think I'll probably talk about that as well, because you might get healed. You might forgive. You might deal with the bitterness and get it out of your mind, out of your heart. But I promise you, residue will still be there and you'll still question the love of your spouse for a while. And it'll come up every so often. So in order to not have to deal with residue, think about your actions. I love y'all. Have a good day. Bye.